Good morning and welcome to the South Carolina AgriBiz and Farm Expo. I'm Donna London with Clemson University, and today we're going to find out everything about farms that you never knew before. And we'll be live web streaming over the course of the next couple of days. And I hope you'll join us because I think you'll learn a lot, just as I have before we've even started. And today we're going to be talking with Dr. Tom Scott. He is the Dean of the College of Agriculture, Forestry, and Life Sciences. Dr. Scott, welcome.
Thank you, Donna. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here, and it's wonderful to see what happens at an expo. This is my first. I know it's not yours. But tell us about the expo, and you've been involved in expos over the course of your tenure as a poultry scientist.
Right. This, as you said, is the second annual expo. This particular expo had been, as my understanding, a major function in South Carolina some years ago, and somewhere along the line, interest sort of diminished. But locally, here in the Florence area, Jody Martin had gotten very interested in reestablishing the expo and having it as a opportunity for farmers and anyone related to the agricultural industries to come together and to visit and to share ideas and to see the equipment. You are correct about my attendance at expos over the years. I started as a graduate student attending the International Poultry Expo in Atlanta, Georgia every year.
But I thought the poultry capital was Gainesville, Georgia.
Well, Gainesville is, and there's a whole history behind the North Georgia role in that, but that is true. However, Atlanta has become sort of the international focal point for gathering industry leaders and industry reps, and it's a phenomenal show, just like this is a phenomenal show on the South Carolina stage.
And to me, it's amazing to walk through the exhibits and see how technical they've become.
They really have, and I think many times we battle with that perception of what farming is, and people tend to maybe go to Wikipedia or some other encyclopedia source, and you get the very typical, here's farming. You plow the land, you plant the seeds, you harvest, or you grow the animals, or you milk the cows. And what we've seen in agriculture over the years, it's become a very highly technical science. Mm-hmm. And you can see everything from a very basic tractor to some very elaborate harvesting equipment. And even now, many of these farming equipment are driven by GPS systems. And so it's an area that we've gotten heavily invested in at Clemson, which is precision agriculture.
Right.
Where basically the farmer can sit in the cab of his tractor and he can be watching everything on a computer screen. He can be getting information about the soil type, the application rates of his fertilizers, reading information off of the surface of the leaves. It's a phenomenal place that we found ourselves in agriculture.
It makes you wonder if that has contributed to some of the movement of trying to eat closer to home, or at least knowing where your food comes from is the main thing.
Yeah, and I think we see a national trend of people really wanting to know that my food came within a very close proximity, maybe 50 to 100 miles from where I live. We have to credit Commissioner Weathers for his effort here in South Carolina through the Department of Agriculture for really pushing the locally grown foods. As we all know, if we go into restaurants across the state, you'll see these signs in the windows advertising that there's locally grown product. Obviously, Charleston has become sort of a food mecca in that regard, and there are many farmers and other people in the food production world that are located in the Charleston area, and so they're supplying this fresh these food products right there locally.
And what about your students? It seems like, well, we know that we went through this change in terms of where the emphasis areas were.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering about your student enrollment. Has that changed over time now that there seems to be a heightened interest?
There has been some change. I think the changes that we've seen is that many of the students remain interested in the traditional agricultural disciplines. However, their objectives are not so much to return maybe to the home community in work, but to seek opportunities with major companies, be it a John Deere or Archer Daniel Midlands or Dow Agrochemical. Many of our students get attracted to those types of positions. Now, obviously, what we hope that they do is that they return to South Carolina,
Right.
because what we're really trying to do through our college is build a workforce for South Carolina, because our emphasis, just like the rest of the university, is to build economic prosperity for citizens of South Carolina. And as we educate young people, we want them to be able to go out and provide the newest and greatest services for the end user, which are the farmers and the agribusiness leaders.
And do you find many of the students coming in that are forestry majors that are also taking courses in business and marketing and things such as that?
Definitely. Many of our degree programs have a minor option. And in many cases, that minor is a business option. And so we push heavily for an agribusiness exposure. And then there's also many other courses that they will take through the business college at Clemson. So there's a real blending of understanding what agriculture is, or understanding what forestry and natural resources are, being able to apply that understanding of the science behind it to then be able to say, okay, if I'm looking at a spreadsheet, or if I'm trying to make a financial decision about what I want to do next with my operation, I have the science background, I've got information that is gathered from some very elaborate computer-based systems out in the field, and then I can sit in front of a computer and I can put this information and data there. So you then become part scientist, part statistician, and then part business person.
And that brings me, what about the drones?
The drones, yes. I think, there's a lot of interest in having drone technology to assist us. Particularly the forestry group is using, and many of our students, we have a few creative inquiry teams, at least one that I know of, wanting to use drones as a way to advance a lot of the geospatial work that they do in looking at different tracts of land. Drones will also be very helpful for us as we expand our precision agricultural work and how we examine what the surface of the field looks like. And so the assistance of that with the GIS systems will make farming and forestry a new world for us. Yeah.
Well, forestry has come a long way, and you're helping to move it forward, and we want to thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you, Donna. It's been a real pleasure, and we certainly enjoy being a part of the Ag Expo here in Florence. It's just a great opportunity for the college.
I have been speaking with Dr. Tom Scott. He is the Dean of the College of Agriculture, Forestry, and Life Sciences. For the Jim Self Center on the Future, I'm Donna London.